Namaste, yogis. My name is Alana Kaivalya. I'm the author of Myths of the Asanas and founder of Kaivalya Yoga Method. One of the foremost texts of yoga is the Bhagavad Gita, and in it we have a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna acts as the agent of higher consciousness, and Arjuna is a great warrior. Arjuna has spent his entire life training to be a warrior, and on the most important day of the greatest battle of his epic journey, he actually starts to doubt himself. And instead of riding forth and fighting the opposing army, he kind of chickens out and goes and hunches back in his chariot and has a crisis of faith. As Krishna counsels him through this particular crisis, we see a nice dialogue in the Bhagavad Gita between Krishna and Arjuna, where Arjuna asks Krishna some of the most poignant questions on his mind, and Krishna gives eloquent answers. This dialogue results in Arjuna deciding to buck up and go ahead and fight the fight. And of course he wins. And this is the briefest description of the Bhagavad Gita. And in keeping with this idea of pursuing our own bravery and pursuing our own Dharma, or the thing that we do that brings more joy to others, we'll do bow pose today. So bow pose is a posture that emulates the archer's bow as we draw back and then allow the arrow to shoot forth. The bow was Arjuna's preferred weapon of choice, and he was a master at it because he'd spent so much of his life in dedicated training to become a warrior. Many of us have spent much of our lives in dedicated training to one thing or another, and basically this is our Dharma. It's whatever it is that we do that allows others to be more fully who they are. And that can be anything under the sun. It could be an accountant, it could be a lawyer, doctor, yoga teacher, whatever it is that makes you feel like you are locked in with the phase of your true calling. That's Dharma. And it takes this kind of focus that the bow requires. It takes us pulling back, going inward, making sure that we check in and see if we are locked in phase with what it is that we feel is so enriching for us as human beings, in order to set that arrow loose on the world and project out what it is that we absolutely love. So as we do our bow pose, maybe this background and context will give us some insight in the pose and make the pose even more rich. So come onto your belly on your mat. We'll do a little bit of warming up for the back bend. Starting with Cobra Pose, draw the lower belly in and up, point the toes, and press the tops of the feet down to the mat. Bring the hands to the midpoint of the rib cage, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and inhale, use the muscles of the back to lift up. This is a nice gentle back bend that will help us to go more deeper into bow pose. Take a few solid breaths here. And then go ahead and release down. Bring the forehead to the floor and interlace the fingers behind the back. Press the palms together and do your best to straighten the arms. Inhale, lift up, reaching the hands toward the back. Squeeze the legs together and lift them up as well. This is a simple version of Shalabhasana or locust posture. And release down. Prop yourself up onto your elbows. Draw the shoulder blades together on the back, and we'll do a Sphinx pose. Bring the chest a little bit forward. Keep the lower belly lifting in and up. And see if you can actually pull some of the back bend out of the lower back and into the upper chest and shoulders instead. All right, now for bow pose, bend the knees. Reach back with the hands and grab the ankles. Once you've captured the ankles, make sure that the knees are no wider than the hips are apart, and just as we pull back on a bow, lift up by trying to extend the legs into the hands. Keep the neck long rather than crimped. Take a few breaths. And release down. After these shapes, it's nice to come into child's pose. Bring the knees a little bit wide, toes together, hips on the heels, and rest the forehead on the floor. For a nice variation in child's pose, turn the palms up. This is a gesture of receptivity, of being willing to give, but also to receive. The next time you enjoy bow pose, remember the great focus of our favorite warrior, Arjuna. Namaste.